Our mentoring program sets itself apart, for one thing, because of the experience we have. I've been an investor since 1975, along with my wife. My partners have been in for over 20 years each. So we have over 105 years of real life experience. Can't get that anyplace else. I've modified the program, changed it, and evolved it over the years because the market changes all the time. The people who are most successful in the program are not experienced investors. They have their mindset in archaic thinking. What I need is people who are new to the business, have an open mind at least, and will follow the instructions. If you follow what we ask you to do, there's nothing illegal or moral about it. Do what we ask you to do consistently and persistently, you will succeed. There's no question. If you don't use the materials, you don't follow the path, so to speak, it's not going to work at all for you. You have to be committed. Have to be committed to changing your life, and it will do it for you. I see some statements online by some successful people who say, everything you need is on YouTube. All you have to do to become an investor is go and watch YouTube videos. The problem is when you're going to a closing and you have a problem with a closing, you can't go through 1,000 YouTube videos to find an answer. Very oftentimes the YouTube videos are ticklers to get you to subscribe or to get into some other kind of program. We offer on-site help. Well, you have our cell numbers. We're your accountability partner. We walk you through the transaction. We have a vested interest in your success. So yes, a lot of the information to become an investor is online, and some of it's duplicated my experience. I have 5 national gurus now who are out there selling what they learned from me, as well as 5 or 6 local gurus who are starting up. They think it's easier to be a guru than it is to actually do deals. If I hadn't been retired 3 times, I would still be doing deals, but I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to encourage people to look at a business that doesn't require a lot of startup capital or almost none at all and get into it because your risk is minimal, your startup capital is minimal, if anything, and you don't have to carry inventory and you don't have to do a lot of things that a business would do. Our goal for our students that follow the path and are doing deals is $50,000 a month net their first year. Now that's pretty spectacular when you think about nuts and bolts businesses or Amazon online businesses. Those are net figures, those aren't gross sales. Even with realtors, when they talk about commissions, these aren't commissions, these are net profits. So can anybody do that? Well, frankly, not anybody, but most people could. Now, I was reported to the Better Business Bureau, and they came back to me and said, you can't say you can make $50,000 a month in real estate investing. So I said, what would you like me to do? And they said, well, show us people that have done that. So they said, show us 6 people. So I sent them 12 phone numbers of my students locally. They contacted every one, and almost 9 months later they came back and said, we're going to give you an A+ rating and accept you into the Better Business Bureau. So does it work? Yes, if you work it. But if you don't do anything, it will not work for you. One of the biggest misconceptions in the industry is that you have to have money to do real estate transactions. The general conceptual idea is you have to buy a property, close on it, where does the money come from? And you have to wait to find a buyer. It's not what we do. What we do in wholesaling is we put a property under contract. We then find a buyer for it during the inspection period. If we can't find a buyer, we give it back to whoever the seller is, whether it's a listing agent or a seller direct. Now those inspection periods have to be a certain amount of time, and criteria have to fall into place, which they will if you do it right, and you wind up walking away with a profit because we supply 100% of the funds needed to do the A to B transaction, the first leg of it. I was looking before I came today, the last 10 transactions that I've funded in the last few days. They ranged in net profits of $97,000 down to as little as $10,000, averaging around $35,000. And I have all the HUDs. I have everything to prove it. One thing that's interesting to me is I occasionally get an application where the applicant will say, I watched Dave's videos online and I can't believe it. He just seems like a nice guy. It's just too hard to believe that he's that nice a guy. And I have my cell number online. They call me, I answer the phone. I answer the phone when I can. It's not every time, but it's darn near every time. So I am that kind of guy that you see, and those people online are not paid actors. They're just students who have become very successful at what they do. Why do I do this now? I've been retired, so I don't need to do it at all. I could be doing other things. I like what I do. I like changing people's lives. When I talk to them and they're downtrodden in the truest sense of the word and they see no light at the end of the tunnel, they don't understand that there is a light. The light being they have the internal brilliance, I call it, to be able to follow a path that's very, very simple. At first, it's a wall of information. It seems very complicated and they don't think I'm ever going to get it. But if they just take one bite at a time, that's the only way to solve it. I have to say to you that every day I'm faced with enormous issues and problems with transactional funding. And I have to take them one at a time and solve them one bite at a time. So it's a wonderful experience if you accept it as that. If you said to me, what's the one thing that every successful student has? I'm going to say it's persistence. There's no IQ qualification. It doesn't have to be high. It doesn't matter if it's medium or low. It's persistence. What I love to do is I love to see people change their lives, and it really does change their lives. Because of the way we've structured the program, very oftentimes, if you look at some of the videos, you'll see the first deal the student did is a large profit. It could be $35,000 to, in one case, $104,000 that we have on video. How did that happen? They simply listened to what we asked them to do and were open-minded. As they get further into it and they speak to, quote, professionals in the industry, such as realtors and other investors, the guys are going to say, you can't do that. It won't work, when in fact it's working every day. We love what we do, and we live vicariously through our students, and we split those accountability partners between four people: myself, my wife, Jim, and Viju. If you get me or Nancy, you get both of us because we're always together. This month is going to be our 55th wedding anniversary. And I've had a long and interesting life, I'm going to say. I've done a lot of different things, owned stock brokerage firms, been a real estate investor since 1975. And I think the most important thing that people have to do if they're going to make a change in their life is they have to step outside their comfort zone. Trust the individual that you're going to go with. I mean, I see a lot of stuff online, especially on YouTube videos occasionally, that just isn't true. I mean, it just is not going to happen. And when I see in meetings, every once in a while I'll go to a seminar and I see you have to go to the back of the room. We're only selling 10 courses today at $40,000 a piece. It's not necessary. If you have to increase your card limit to get a program, a seminar, please be very careful, because what you're doing is you're getting entrapped in it may not work. And if it doesn't, you're going to be accelerated on your cards. So do some research. Go online and look at what people say about other people and ask questions. If you can't speak to the person whose program you're going to be going into directly, then you may want to look at some other program.